Hey, thanks for clicking on our video. Con and I are happy that you are watching this review of the Altra Vanish Carbon 2. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, and leave a comment down below. Con would really appreciate it. Right, boy? All right, we're going to talk about the Altra Vanish Carbon 2 specs and features. This is Altra's road racing shoe. On their website, they say it's for road racing and for speed workouts. I did not have the first version. I tried the first version out in the store, but never pulled the trigger on it. Changes they made, it looks like an airier upper, more midsole stack. It's 36 millimeters. And it's one midsole height because it's a zero drop shoe, so it's 36 millimeters in the heel, 36 millimeters in the forefoot. I weighed my men's size 9.5, and it was 231 grams for the left shoe, 232 grams for the right shoe, pretty much equal in weight. For those who use imperial units, that is 8.2 ounces. It's a very, very lightweight mesh upper. It's almost see-through. It's a fully gusseted tongue. The laces look thin. They are not serrated. They're not grippy, so they might have a little bit of slip there. There's very minimal padding on the heel. There is a heel counter, but it's really just kind of a flexible plastic heel counter. These little faux suede horns here, I don't know if those will affect the Achilles or not. Lately, I've not been having any trouble with that. Not a lot of structure to the upper, except for these underlays here where the gusseted tongue is. The midsole. I'm not sure what the Ultra Ego Pro midsole is comprised of. I don't know if it's PIBA based or if it's TPEE based. From feeling in my hand, a very unscientific way of determining that. I really don't know. It feels more like a TPEE than a PIBA, but if I find out before this review comes out, then I will put in a cut here that tells more about what that midsole is. So according to the folks at Run Repeat, Ultra Ego Pro is a TPE, which is a broad family of elastomers, thermoplastic elastomers, of which TPEE is one of the different kinds. So I'm not sure if this is a TPEE or a different kind of TPE, but there you go. Outsole, good outsole coverage, flex grooves in the high wear areas, plenty of exposed midsole too, but that also means they're not devoting a lot of weight to the outsole. From what I understood on the first version, the outsole did not last a long time, so you didn't get a lot of dollars per mile. From what I understand on this version, they have improved that. I guess we'll see and time will tell, but it looks like it's pretty grippy. It feels pretty grippy. And these three flex grooves here, you can see the carbon plate, so you know, let me see, I'm holding the phone in one hand. Yep, tap the plate. So yeah, the carbon plate is full length and it is asymmetrical because it's an Ultra shoe, so it is foot shaped. Haven't tried them on yet, so I can't speak to the fit. I'm probably gonna end up using this shoe for workouts more than races just because I have a lot of race day options, but you never know. All right, we'll get this on the road and then I'll tell you more about it. Thursday morning, just finished the second workout of the week, and it was really more of a maintenance workout. It was 2 by 10 minutes at more of an LT effort, which the first interval was about a 6:03 per mile pace. The second interval was a 5:57 per mile pace, and then 4 by 1 minute on, 1 minute off. And that was more of like a 3K VO2 max effort, which is a little bit slower than I normally do for those. It was in between 5:20 and 5:30 per mile, but you know, it's really just a maintenance workout. I was doing it on the roads, so I wasn't really going for precise timing. The shoe I chose today was the Altra Vanish Carbon. And this is my second run in this shoe, first real workout in this shoe. I'll just talk about it a little bit in the shoe talk, but I don't want to give too much away. All right, it's time for a shoe off. And here I have the Altra Vanish Carbon 2. And I'm going to be comparing it with the On CloudBoom Zone, the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2, not the most recent third version, the Tier Valkyrie Elite Carbon, the New Balance SC Pacer V2, the Topo Specter 2, and the Hoka Cielo X1, not the most recent 2.0 version. It might seem like an odd list for this shoe off, but that's intentional because all of these shoes are kind of straddling the border between racers and super trainers. They might be racing shoes that I would choose to train in, or training shoes that I might possibly choose to race in. And I really think that's where the Altra Vanish Carbon 2 is going to sit. Spoiler alert. So we'll start with the on CloudBoom Zone. On CloudBoom Zone and Altra Vanish Carbon 2. These are both shoes that I think take a little bit of breaking in and a little bit of warming up, meaning stepping out your door. They feel like they should both be a little more forgiving than they are. But once you run for a quarter mile or so, they open up a little bit. The CloudBoom Zone is more flexible. The Vanish Carbon 2 is more cushioned, and especially in the forefoot. You gotta think, 36 in the forefoot, 36 in the heel. May not have as much heel stack as the other racers, but it will have more forefoot stack because it's a zero drop shoe and it has that wide anatomical toe box. So a lot of volume of cushion in the toes. But that also means that that mass of cushion is further away from your center of gravity. It's more to swing further away from the fulcrum of your hip. So it doesn't feel as light. In fact, it's not as light as some of the other super shoes. The CloudBoom Zone, as a trainer, feels a little bit more nimble, but for long miles at a fast pace, I might want some of the cushion and support from the Ultra shoe. All right, I have the Ultra Vanish Carbon 2 and the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 2. The Deviate Nitro Elite 2 has forever been a super trainer for me, not a racing shoe. And ever since the Nitro Elite 3 came out, yeah, there's no reason to use the Nitro Elite 2 as a racer. So it's been my go-to for crappy weather workouts or mixed surface. It's a little bit more harsh than the Vanish Carbon 2 is. That's because mainly I'm a forefoot to midfoot striker. If I roll back on the heels a little bit more, then you get a little bit of that softness from that PIBA EVA blend that's in the Nitro Elite 2, but that's not how I run. If you're just doing easier runs, well, not easier, but moderate to moderate hard runs in the Vanish Carbon 2, and you're a forefoot striker or a midfoot striker, you're going to get a lot more protection from that shoe. Maybe a little more performance too over longer distances, but if I'm going to do reps, shorter reps, I would rather use the Puma shoe. Alright, Ultra Vanish Carbon 2 in tier Valkyrie Carbon Elite. Both of these shoes are about the same weight in my size, and both of them get such a large percentage of their weight from ample cushioning underfoot, because both of them have pretty lightweight uppers. And I do like that they both have a lot of cushion under the forefoot in particular. The Valkyrie Carbon Elite has a bit of a bouncier, punchier cushion because it's a beaded PIBA, whereas the Vanish Carbon 2 is more of a TPE, a supercritical TPE, so it's a little more stable. The use case scenarios would not be too far off for these shoes for me. I see in my training the Valkyrie Elite Carbon as a long run shoe with some marathon or half marathon pace, especially on a hilly route, whereas I see the Vanish Carbon 2 as something that I would more take for threshold intervals, longer threshold intervals, intervals of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a threshold pace. And indeed, that is how I've been using these two shoes respectively in the time that I've had them. All right, I have the New Balance SC Pacer V2 and the Ultra Vanish Carbon 2. I think the Vanish Carbon 2 would be more comparable to the New Balance SC Elite V4, but I don't own that shoe. I have tried it on, and it's kind of the big brother to the SC Pacer V2. But the responses of the foams are similar, even though the New Balance shoe has a PIPA foam and the Altra has a TPE. That is to say, they're muted, but still somewhat energetic, just a controlled energetic. The Altra shoe is about 20 grams heavier per foot, and I do feel that side by side. Pro and con of that is, even though I feel the extra weight, I also feel the extra cushion. I feel like there's more give back in the Altra than the SC Pacer V2. Now, if I were doing shorter, faster reps, the Pacer V2 would probably feel like the more appropriate shoe. But for marathon training or long tempo stuff, like I've said with some of the other shoes, I think the Altra would be a better training tool if you're okay with the lower drop, the zero drop. Alright, here I have the Topo Specter 2 and the Altra Vanish Carbon 2. And this is an interesting comparison here. Both of these companies, Topo and Altra, are known for their anatomical foot-shaped toe boxes. The Topo Specter 2 is decidedly a trainer, and the Vanish Carbon 2 is meant to be a racer. But I think I would almost rather train in the Vanish Carbon 2 and race in the Topo Specter 2. The Topo Specter 2 is heavier on paper, and not by much. We're talking 7 to 10 grams per shoe in my size, but it almost runs lighter. Part of that is because the lockdown is more secure, especially across the midfoot, and it does have a reported 5mm drop instead of 0mm drop, so there's a little bit of forward tilt. The PIBA, it's actually P-Bax, cushioning is bouncier, but the Altra has more cushioning, so it kind of balances out. If you were coming down to getting one or the other, the Topo Specter 2 is a lot cheaper, even at full price, than the Vanish Carbon 2 is at a reduced price. And the Specter 2 does not have a plate, so if you want to maintain your foot strength and not rely on a plate, there's that. Alright, last one. I've got the Hoka Cielo X1, the first version, and the Altra Vanish Carbon 2. The Cielo X1 is the heaviest shoe I brought to this lineup today, but it's also the most energetic, has the most foam underfoot. It's the only shoe in the lineup that I think has the amount of foam under the forefoot in particular to rival the Altra Vanish Carbon 2. But I wouldn't use these for the same thing. The Cielo X1 is the long run king for me. If you woke me up in the middle of the night and said, you're going on a long run, it's going to be 20 or 25 miles on the road, you can only pick one shoe and there might be some pace involved, it would be the Hoka Cielo X1. Or maybe even for a road ultra, the Altra Vanish Carbon 2 would be a more stable choice for some long intervals. It may not be my top pick as a tempo interval shoe, but it would certainly be a good workhorse. And the nature of this TPE foam, I think it'll last a while. And the long intervals I've done in it, I was going faster than expected. So yeah, that's how these two compare, or really don't compare. All right, it's shoe talk time. We have the Altra Vanish Carbon 2, which is Altra's super shoe racer. And I'll just say that if you're not comfortable running in zero drop shoes, you should probably avoid this. However, with higher stack zero drop shoes, especially that have a little bit of cushion, even though there is a carbon plate in here, I find those a little bit more approachable than lower stack zero drop shoes from the days of minimalism. So there is that. I did not have any problems, even though I have chronically tight calves. Yeah, so let's move on to it. With it being a zero drop shoe, there is less cushion in the heel than with a lot of the racers, 36 millimeters, but there is more cushion in the forefoot. I've mentioned that a few times. With it being zero drop, we can keep a lot of that cushion in the forefoot, and with it being a wide forefoot, because it's an anatomical fit, there is a large volume of cushion under there. The con of that is that you have a lot of weight toward the toe of the shoe. So that is farther away from the fulcrum of your hip. You're swinging that weight farther away from your center of gravity. So you would feel that extra weight more in this Altra shoe than you would in something that's a little bit more pointy in the toe. However, when I am focusing on my form and really kicking back the heel so that I'm driving my knee forward and it's keeping my foot closer to my body than rather than swinging my foot farther forward away from my body, then I find that that's less of an issue. So it is a beneficial training tool for that reason too. Not only am I getting some support and bounce from a workout shoe, but I'm kind of working on my form as well. The foam is responsive, but it is not super bouncy. I do think it's going to last for a while, and I think it's really great for some of that threshold effort, but I don't know that it's what I would want to race in, because I still feel like it's not helping me all that much. It's just kind of allowing me to do the work that I need to do for a workout. So why would I choose this over the Topo Specter 2? Well, I might not. I might choose the Topo Specter 2 for the same things. However, the Specter 2 I also kind of use for daily training. It's a little bit more forgiving of a shoe, whereas if I want something with a little bit more rigidity, then I might use the Vanish Carbon 2. A lot of others who do not favor low drop shoes, they might use something like the Nike Zoomfly 6 for a similar shoe. I would not, because I was rather underwhelmed by this shoe. It's also going to be really favoring the heel, not so much in the forefoot, and I find that, I don't know, I'm just underwhelmed by the Zoomfly 6. I think for me, this shoe would fill the role of the Zoomfly 6. It is a lot more expensive. I did not get these at full price, but the price I paid for them is still more expensive than an MSRP Nike Zoomfly 6 or Topo Specter 2. So am I going to keep using it? Yes, but primarily for those long tempo workouts. And even though we're getting into the late spring, early summer, I'm done with the Boston Marathon and I'm going to be focusing on shorter distances, I still like to incorporate a lot of lengthier threshold runs in my training, because that lactate shuttling is still going to help when it comes to that sublactate or beyond lactate level racing. Like 5K racers still need to know how to shuttle lactate. So doing longer runs at a little bit slower than threshold pace is still beneficial. And this is going to be one of my main tools for that. Thank you for following along this far in the video and listening to my review of the Altra Vanish Carbon 2. I'll try and throw some more content your way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications, and we'll see you on the next run.